What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Blindside Sports. And joining me today, this is going to be a fun one. This is episode 50, by the way. You can hear him on Fox Sports Radio from 2 to 6 Pacific, 5 to 9 Eastern Time on Saturdays on 975 The Fanatic during the weekdays over in Philadelphia. He also has a Cuzzo trivia app that he is involved with. It's Anthony Gargano at Anthony L. Gargano on Twitter. Welcome to the show, my guy.
What do you say, Em? How's my man? I know you're happy today after that big Seahawks win.
Yeah. He's also known as Cuz or Ant, and he's also a fella. And you know what's funny about this? I was plugging the show on Twitter and trying to make sure everything's working here. And someone asked me, they're like, "Oh, I'm excited about the show. Does that mean after this, are you a fella?" I'm like, that's a good question.
Emmett, listen to me. You are definitely a fella, all right? I promise you, you are more than an honorary fella. You're a true fella. You're a good fella.
I like to hear that, man. Now, let's kind of go into your expertise here, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your takeaways from this game here as they battled it out with the Lions? I mean, I'll share mine really fast before you kind of go into it. I really like the team. I think I picked the Eagles to win the division. I think the Eagles can actually go pretty far in the playoffs. I mean, I really like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. I really like the move of A.J. Brown. Their coaching is just good. I think the Eagles are in it to win it, man. What were your takeaways from this game?
Yeah, I agree. I think they have the bones of something pretty special going on. I mean, their offense is a Ferrari. I've been talking about this for a while. I mean, they have, you mentioned A.J. Brown, who was just amazing, man. You know, you look at him, he hasn't seen he reminds me a lot of T.O. and kind of going up and snatching the ball. He's strong. He's a great target. So you got him. Devontae Smith, who you'll see is a real talented kid. He's got a lot of ability. They have, between those two, you have two elite
and you
receivers.
get Miles Sanders back for the first time.
Yeah. Yep. They have a great offensive line. I mean, they have a true Ferrari of an offense. And look, I think, Jalen may not be the Justin Herbert or Mahomes type of quarterback who's going to dart you. But I think Hurts is a guy that makes plays. Like, he made plays in college. And obviously that's the big question for Eagle fans is, can he be the guy going forward? That's going to be like one of the issues. But he does make plays. And as a floor, I think Hurts is a really good leader. He's great in the locker room. And as a floor, he wins you double-digit games because he can make a lot of plays with his legs. I like to see him use his arm a little bit more and not leave the pocket after the first read. But I tell you, the kid's a winner and a playmaker. So, I think their offense is pretty lethal. They're young, but I think they're pretty lethal.
Yep. And also, it really helps them, too, with, this Dak Prescott news that broke where he'll be out for the first 7 games. Yeah. I'm not really high on the Cowboys, even with Dak. I mean, even that performance on Sunday night was just god-awful. But, there's obviously, it's the NFL. There's obstacles. What do you think the biggest obstacle for the Philadelphia Eagles, what do you think that is?
Well, if you're looking at the division, right? First of all, let's look at the team itself, Emmett. So, all right. I think you got to look at your defense. So they added a lot of new pieces on defense. I thought great, really, really good offense. And they had a lot of good pieces. One of the keys going to be, can the defensive coordinator who's been questioned, Jonathan Gannon, is he going to be able to give you enough pressure and play a little bit more up-tempo on that side? Because they're going to have to get after it. They got to be able to rush the quarterback. They got to sign Reddick to play off the edge. They're going to need a good pass rush. Gannon doesn't like to blitz. He likes to play more organic type of pass rush. It's Vic that he runs. So he's going to say, can you generate enough pressure? I love getting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson
Oh
Safety
yeah,
was a big
great
issue
move.
for them. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, getting him from New Orleans right before the season was huge. I think they're going to need some time to put the pieces together. But I look at this defense, and I think it's going to be much more improved. Last year, they got riddled. They got picked apart by good quarterbacks. And I think it's going to be the issue again this year. They're better equipped. They got to get pressure, and they got to be secure on the back end. You saw Bradbury, who was one of the new faces, get a pick six on Sunday. So I thought that was a big key. I think, that, and I think they're young. I said they have to. I think they're a year away from being a real Super Bowl contender, but they definitely have the bones of something special.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. And I think with the Eagles defense, and you have a point, because the Detroit Lions, who I'm high on, I mean, they're not like a Super Bowl contender. Jared Goff's not like a Patrick Mahomes. Still a good team, but they put up points on them. So I think, if they play like a Patrick Mahomes type or like something like that, or Josh Allen, it could be pretty ugly. They're just lucky that they have a good offense that could keep up with it. I mean, that's the main point here. But let's go away from football for a quick second here. Now, I started listening to you way back when I was like 12 or 11. No, it was younger, like 9. I'm not kidding, like 9 years ago. Back when you're on like 6 to 10 with a big bleeping Lincoln Kennedy. So
that's my big man. He's the
big
great
Link, baby.
Big bleeping Link.
Yeah, but he's gone now. He's doing big bleeping Lincoln things. So I have to ask you, you worked with him for years. What was the most fun time you guys had on the live air?
Wow, I got to tell you, I loved it. I still love him. He's a dear friend of mine. He's one of the great people you'll ever meet, and he's a lot of fun. He's like a big teddy bear who's just a beautiful guy, man. He really is. He's so much fun. He's got a great temper. He's a great dad. He's one of the great people you ever meet. And we had, I be honest with you, every Saturday I loved hanging out with him, and I mean, it was all fun. I mean, nothing really stands out because we had so much fun. The first time, I'll tell you, what was interesting. We did Army Navy games, right? And so there was an Army Navy game that we met up on a Friday night, and I had actually never been in Lincoln's company. And then a year later, we worked the whole year together. We never met, and we loved each other. And we finally meet in Baltimore or D.C. And it was an Army-Navy game. And we went out till 4 o'clock in the morning. We were smoking cigars. We were hanging out till like 4 a.m. And then we got up the next morning and did the show together. And it was just like you're being with your best buddy. So it was a lot of fun.
Yep, you guys definitely had that chemistry where you could tell that you guys knew each other and were boys for a very long time. And now I feel like the show, your Fox Sports radio show is still great and all, but it feels like there's a step missing with a big bleep in Lincoln. But our guy Kevin Figures and Chris Perfett and Brandon Trufa, they fill the gaps. But they fill the gaps. I those are my guys too. Chris has came on here a couple times to help me break down some Detroit Lions stuff. Brandon's came on here. I'm still trying to get K-Fig, very, very busy guy, K-Fig, but, very, very fun show over there, but there's nothing like having you and Big Lincoln on a Saturday.
Yeah, Figgy and Chris. Yeah, I love my guys. I mean, Figgy and Psycho Chris, they're fantastic. Now, Lincoln was, like a fat, I mean, listen, first of all, he's a Hall of Famer, right? A college football Hall of Famer. He should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. Agreed. He does the Raiders broadcast. So, I mean, he's a titan. He's a heavyweight. I'll tell you one thing. We had a great time together when the Raiders played the Eagles back in 2018. It was over Christmas Day. So Link was out without his family. He came to the house, and we spent Christmas Eve with me and my family. It was great.
That's cool.
It really was.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports, Anthony Gargano at Anthony L. Gargano with us here. Now, I have to ask about, you and me, I think we have this in common. I am a Cowboys hater, and I'm sure you are as well. You have to be, because you're an
Yes.
Eagles guy. But
That would be
realistically
correct.
here, what are what are the options for the Cowboys this year? Do you think they're like gonna have like a high draft pick, or I mean, I just saw a rumor that they're not gonna trade anyone. And if you look at like who they play until like week 8, it's actually a pretty hard schedule. I can only see them grabbing 1 or 2 games out of that. So do you think the Cowboy season is officially over with the Dak Prescott news?
I do, Emmett. I do.
Yeah.
Listen, it was interesting, right? Like we got to dance on their on the grave because I look at them, right, and I go, so they're not putting Dak on IR, and they're hoping that Dak comes back for the Eagles game, which is in week 6. I just don't know how they survive. I don't see it. And look, even before Dak went down in the fourth quarter, like that was the fourth quarter, they struggled. Listen, they missed Amari Cooper. They look, Zeke still can't run, right? It was a bad contract. It really was. I mean, that offensive line has issues. Their offense, and I love Micah Parsons. He's a great player. But that Dallas offense, does that put any fear into you? I don't think so.
No. And that Bucs defense is good and all, but like it was just simple plays that they were missing there that were like pretty cost worthy. And I you said week 6. I was I don't know if you know David Chow, Pro Football Doc, but he was saying that with this type of injury, if there's any, it's a throwing dominant hand, so it could take longer than like what they're saying for him to even look like him. Like he could come back, but he could look like Russell Wilson for a while, where just not himself. And that it's gonna be interesting to see how that all works. I mean, I guess everyone heals differently, and all that. Everyone's a different body, but it's definitely a very, very bad injury if you're a Cowboys guy, because let's face it, you can't trust Cooper Rush or whoever that guy is to be your quarterback for 5 to 6 weeks. I mean, it's going to be hard out there for Cowboys fans. And I mean, maybe they're looking at it like we can get a good draft pick or something like that. I mean,
I think when you look at kind of the future there, what would you rather do? Would you rather trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, give up assets? I mean, it doesn't really make much sense when you look at this team. I think they're pretty flawed. So, the other issue is too, do you wait and see, right? Like, do you see how you are? And, you hate to after week 1 to wave the white flag, but you kind of might need a whole kind of retool. And that includes the coach. I don't know about you,
agreed.
but I'm not a big McCarthy guy.
No.
So I think if you're them, you might want to just kind of, go after and if you gotta take a step back, and then you come back next year, retool it.
Yep, I agree 100% with that, and I feel like the Cowboys are one of the weirder teams in the NFL right now because they have a solid enough roster, but I feel like at the same time they're just close to redoing literally everything. They've had like Dak at quarterback and all of this since 2016. That hasn't really translated to much success. But the Cowboys, they're probably not going to do anything. I mean, the Jerry Jones way is the Jerry Jones way. But I mean, it's weird. I mean, what do you do if you're the Cowboys? Because I mean, there's not a lot of success going with Dak Prescott. CD Lamb needs another weapon around him. You need to figure out what you want to do with Zeke, because clearly that contract was a horrible contract.
Yeah,
so there's a lot they need to figure out, and it's not just Dak Prescott. It's like, I mean, that's the basis of it, but there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I think you can win with Dak. I'm not as that would be down on my list. I think you nail it when you talk about the Elliott contract. And they miss Gallup. They need somebody else. They need somebody else to create space. That Elliott kills you. Like, it kills them on so many different levels, because they finally built a defense, and then your offense falls apart. And their offensive line, which used to be a strength, is now a net negative. That you had to go out and sign Jason Peters was a huge, kind of tell on how bad that line is right now.
Yeah, I agree.
He lost 2/5 of it.
How about that though? Like you bring up Jason Peters, a guy who rips the Cowboys for years and is a Cowboy hater just like you and I, and then he signs a contract with the Cowboys. How about that?
listen. Anytime you need a job, you know what
You
I
need a
mean?
job, right?
As
I mean,
long,
shoot.
as long as Jerry's money's green, that's all that matters.
Right? I mean, as long as it pays the bills. But hey, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do for the money. I understand it, but it's just funny to see how he just hates the Cowboys and he's playing with them. You know, probably last season in his career. But yeah, Emmett
How'd
Douglas.
How'd you feel about your Seahawks?
All right, so I personally, the first half was awesome. I really liked what Geno Smith could do. Seeing all the Geno for MVP stuff on Twitter, I mean, it's kind of half trolling at this point, but I need to see more from Geno to prove something. But that was a start of Geno that he could at least be half good for our team. I mean, that was even in the second half, that was way better than what he did when Russell Wilson was hurt. So I don't think we're gonna be like 2-15 or nothing like that. I think we can win like 5-6 games. But about last night though, I personally think the defense was good. Russell Wilson, he had a bad game. There's just missed opportunities, and it wasn't necessarily his fault, right? Like in that red zone when the turnover and then the fumble, two fumbles. Yeah, I mean that wasn't his fault. I don't think really Russ is to blame, but the main story of this, cuz what are you thinking, Nathaniel Hackett? I mean, I was telling you pre-show. You know, you're at the 45-yard line or whatever with a minute left, one of the best clutch quarterbacks in the NFL, and not to boot, it's not like you need like 10, 15 yards. Probably like 6 or 7 would do good. I mean, Brandon McManus can nail long kicks. And Nathaniel, I don't know if he like was getting flustered or I really don't know the logic behind that play. It was just weird, right? Like they call,
I'm shocked at how they played that. I really am. I mean, you got Russ, you got 433 yards of offense, right? The whole reason why you got Russell Wilson is that he can make a play on 4th and 5. I mean, basically you're betting, you have all 3 timeouts. Can Russell Wilson, what's the better odds? Russell Wilson converts a 4th and 5, or McManus converts a 64-yard field goal.
Which barely any kickers have made. Yeah. And another thing about this game, too, is, I mean, there is, like, times where it should have been, like, there was one play where Russell, Jerry Jeudy, when he caught that, like, 60-yard touchdown, if Kobe Bryant didn't make that mistake, like, that could have been a lot different over there. But I just think it was
how about the dropped interception too? That could have sealed the game early.
Yeah, I have to ask you, how do you feel about Seahawk fans booing Russell Wilson?
You know, it's funny. Like I get it, right? Like I mean, if we're going to be honest, you wish that everybody would have given him a standing O before the game. But here's a player in his prime, right? You leave. It's hard. Like, it's hard to look at. It's the Rust Bowl. Here comes Denver. He's wearing a Bronco uniform. Like, he deserves a standing ovation for all that he's done in Seattle. But, you know, it's football, man. And blood is thicker, right, than Super Bowl trophies of the past.
Yep. And it's, you know, I mean, the way he left us, I mean, we could talk about that all day. But, you know, I was, you know, getting in on people on Twitter yesterday because they were like, you're saying, oh, he's not going to get booed. I'm like, even Tom Brady got booed when he went back to Foxborough.
I know.
I mean, Tom Brady, who, well, let's be real, like he did so much for that team where, you know, I'm not a Russ guy. And I mean, but if I were a Patriots fan and I was at that Brady Foxborough, I would not be booing him. I mean, that guy brought you so much to where, like, him and Russ,
I'll be honest, a whole different thing. Like, is it a violation? Like, to me, he deserves to get a standing O. But I agree. You know, I get it. Like, it's Monday night. It's the 12th man. Here comes Russ. Russ leaves. again, I wish he had the moment of standing ovation and then you boo, right? Like,
Yep.
that's kind of how it should be. Like, that should be the rule, where you pay homage to the athlete that gave you all those good times, and he was great for Seattle. Like,
he really was.
he was great. He was a Mr. Seahawk.
Yep. And the thing is too, and I think the funniest part about all this, the crowd was roaring that whole game, but I don't know if you saw videos, but towards the end, they were chanting, Gino, Gino, Gino.
I saw it. I watched the game. I saw it. Yeah, I watched it. It was crazy. I mean, it really was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a great game. I mean, let's face it. That was awesome. Yeah.
Way better than the Sunday night game, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many, like, a lot of people are expecting the Broncos to kind of come through, and I picked the Seahawks on this show on, I believe it was Saturday when I did the show for, like, the picks and all that, and I a couple people that, like, I know were like, you're crazy. I'm like, it's week 1. I mean, Russ didn't really play in the preseason. I mean, it's going to be, it takes time, especially when
I agree. That's a smart pick by you. That's a smart pick.
Yeah.
I see all those people in the survivor pools. They all got knocked out.
Yeah. But, like, did you see the Raiders-Chargers game this weekend?
Yes.
That was really weird because I feel like Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, like, it's kind of the same boat there. I mean, there's stuff to work out, but, like, Derek Carr had 22 completions. Devontae Adams had 10 of those receptions. I mean, I feel like that's just crazy. And Devontae Adams had a really good game. You love to see that one. And I think if they can work out the turnover issues,
Chargers front is the Chargers front is really
they're monsters.
Impressive.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good team. They were without, obviously, they're a great player in their safety. But let me tell you, like, that front, they'll get, they'll get after you.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And I'm the Thursday night game this week, Kansas City at Arrowhead and the Chargers. That's going to be a battle. That's going to be a very good game. I mean, all these primetime games this year so far have been really, really good. I mean,
yeah, they're interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, like, good matchups. I mean, the Cowboys-Bucks wasn't a good game, but, I mean, at the time you could say it was a good matchup, like, before the game.
Definitely.
And you had Chiefs-Chargers, which is going to be, I mean, I think the Chargers could win the division. I think the Chiefs are going to be fighting with the Raiders for that second spot.
I can't wait for that game. That's a great game. How great did Patrick Mahomes look?
Oh, yeah. That was something else, too. I mean, the Cardinals are missing so much, but that was on the offense. Like, I think Patrick, he even proved me wrong after that. Like, there's some situations in week 1 where you're like, oh, it's just week 1, or, okay, this could be for real. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that was one of those where, okay, maybe I was wrong about Tyreek Hill having an impact. Like, that's the beauty of Andy Reid and Patty Mahomes. They know how to make stuff work. Like, they know how to find weapons. They know how to just manipulate a great offense no matter what. So I think the Chiefs are always going to be scary for the Chargers.
Yeah, Andy's a great coach. How about my man Spags and his defense too? Like, that's a really good coaching staff. And Mahomes is unbelievable. You're right. I mean, look, they make Juju Smith-Schuster was terrific. They spread the ball around. You still got Kelsey's the best tight end in football. So, that Kansas City team still legit. That's going to be a great game Thursday night. I'm with you. I love Herbert. The winner is the second best team behind the Bills because the Bills are scary, aren't they?
Yeah. They really are, man. Josh Allen. Oh, that guy. I love Josh Allen. That guy. What a talent, man. I mean, the Rams. They still had, like, I had the Rams defense in fantasy, and they still forced, like, 3 turnovers. I was like, oh, they got me 9 points. But they allowed 31 points. Like, the Rams defense was still making plays. Is my main point. So, like, the Rams defense is always going to be there no matter what to disrupt you. But Josh Allen overcame that.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, listen, he's the truth. Remember, and those interceptions weren't even his fault.
No,
because they popped out. They're scary too because defensively they're good. They got weapons there. Sean McDermott's a great coach. I mean, I love.
How about Von Miller?
I
with
love
like
the way
3
they
sacks too.
I know. He looked great too. He looked fast. He looked real spry.
He wants his boy Odell to come down there. I don't know if you've seen all that, where he's like, "There's an empty locker for you, Odell, right next to me." But he's still without Odell. No Odell, no problem.
Yeah.
Anthony Gargano joining us here on the podcast. If you want to check out Anthony, you can go follow him at Anthony L. Gargano on Twitter. Do you have any other socials that are public, or is it just the Twitter? Because that's the only thing I follow you on.
On Instagram, I'm at Anthony Lewis Gargano.
All right. Anthony, Cuz, whatever you know him as, Ant, a fella, whatever you know him as. It was super fun to have you on the show today, man. We got to do this again later in the season when to talk some Eagles, because I think you're the official Eagles guy for me, you know, the Eagles analyst. But hey, man, thanks for coming on.
Well, I'm honored. Andy, listen, I'm honored, dude. You're the man, Emmett. All
right. Thanks, Cuz. We'll have my reactions to week 1. Cuz has to get out of here. He very busy, man. So, you know, go show him some love. Go check out his shows. Go tweet into it to him when he's live. Go show him some love. Cuz, man, it was a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. All right. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Now, week 1. What a week. I mean, we kind of went into it with Gargano here, but I want to go a little bit more into it. I want to go more in depth on the Dak Prescott stuff. Also, one thing we didn't get to, which I'll actually lead with because it's maybe I'll mute my mic. Hold on. But like the one thing about this week that was awesome, like that I didn't really talk about with the first part of that is the Trey Lance situation, because I have some words on that one here. What? All right, cool. We're live. But let's get into it. Trey Lance and the 49ers against the Chicago Bears on Sunday. If you guys did not see all of this go down, Trey Lance crapped the bed. That's basically what it came down to. And there's been a lot of, like hate on Trey Lance. He's done. This is why they kept Jimmy G. Yes, I agree. That's why they kept Jimmy G as a service blanket. They want a security blanket. They want him if Trey Lance continues to play like crap, right? But it's week 1, first ever game, horrible weather. And it sounds like I'm making excuses, but everyone's overreacting. It's literally week 1. Stuff like this happens. Do you expect your rookie quarterback to be Tom Brady right when he enters the field? Do you expect him to be like Joe Montana or Dan Marino right when he enters the field? No, it takes time for rookies to get to develop. And you may be asking me, well, how long for you will it take to be worried about this? That's a good question. Very good question. 3 or 4 weeks. If this continues for 3 or 4 weeks, especially against the Seahawks, who they got week 3? I think it might be a hard team, actually. 49ers week 3.
The 49ers beat the Broncos on September 25th.
Oh, the Broncos? That's a hard team, actually. Ooh. But if Trey Lance continues to play this bad, I don't think it's likely. I think it's, experience stuff. Like I think the more experience he gets, the better he'll play type stuff. But if he continues like after like week 3, week 4, okay, all right, maybe we do go Jimmy G. And I'm a big fanatic and big approver of start the young. But when the young doesn't play good, and the thing is with the Niners too is it's not like they're like a rebuilding team. The roster is low key like an NFC Championship Super Bowl roster. barring like obviously like injuries and Trey Lance plays good, like Elijah Mitchell, their running backs out for 2 months now, but he missed a lot of time last year and didn't really affect him. I mean, the Niners are just kind of riddled with injuries, but it happens like that, like that. It's football, but overall, Trey Lance, it was one game, first ever start, not much college experience, and also something interesting about this here is he's played more times in the snow than he has the rain. I don't know if that tells you anything or changes your mind on stuff like that, but that's wild. That is for surely wild. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Why don't we switch it over to my random miscellaneous things that make me go from week one? For me, the main one would have to be just this week was nutty, right? This week was nutty. I mean, it wasn't just like quarterbacks and all that. Like, really weird plays, really weird games, really good games, especially in that early window. That early window was awesome. But just a nutty week. Like, Steelers-Bengals, one of the weirdest games we've seen of all time. If the Steelers had any offense, had any guts to them, they would have crushed the Bengals. I mean, nothing against Joe Burrow. Like, same thing. It's week one. Non-issue. He didn't really play in the preseason. It's week one. We'll get to that in a minute. That's another thing that made me go, last night. It's something about the preseason, but it's weird, right? And the thing that made me go, about the preseason was I was listening to my guy, Big Ben Maller. And what my guy, Big Ben Maller, said was, look, all right, guess what the record was if we have any live viewers. All right, yeah, it was 3-8. Quarterbacks who didn't play in the preseason in week one went 3-8. So it's kind of making me think, like, should these quarterbacks start in preseason? I mean, not every game. I give them like the first like two, and then the last one or whatever you gotta do. But just give them some reps like before the season because they're coming in blind to this NFL stadium that they haven't played in a year or ever. So I'm kind of changing my opinion on that one, but it's okay, right? Everybody changes their opinions. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Get me on Twitter, Emmett No C04. Emmett is spelled with a EMMIT, No C NOSEE, and obviously the numbers 0 and 4. Now, all right, we're gonna go back into Seahawks Broncos here because I planned it to talk about solely. In a little more details, the Seahawks played very well against the Broncos in that 17-16 effort there. Geno Smith, 23-28, 195 yards, 2 tutties, no interceptions. Russell Wilson, 29-41, 300-something yards, a tutty. Both the quarterbacks played well, right? Like, both of them played very well. Geno Smith, his first half was very good. Second half was all right. But he only threw like 10 passes in the second half. I mean, come on. But this is a very good Monday night game. Do I think Russell Wilson should be booed? Cuz had it right on early in the episode. Look, he's gonna get booed, but you gotta show him some love. I mean, yeah, I hear like, oh, the Legion of Boom did it. You can't have a bad quarter. You can't have a bad quarterback lead you to the Super Bowl. You can have an average one. But he just did a lot for the Seahawks. And I am not a Russ guy, as you guys know. I started to turn on him. I like him as a football player, but I'm not the biggest fan of him. Just the way he kind of left everything was just, I don't know. And the way it's just social media habits, bro. For real. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett too. Dumb play calling. Like, what was that? I mean, how? Like, I get it was your first game coaching, but that's unexcusable. Like, I posted a joke tweet. I was like, Nathaniel Hackett should be fired after this. Like, I mean, wouldn't go that far. But how embarrassing of a call. You had your timeouts, and you had the best, like, late fourth quarter quarterback in the NFL. I mean, that's Russell Wilson's bread and butter right there. And to kick a 64-yard field goal, I mean, you kind of you expect you kind of handed that loss to yourselves there. Like, you deserve that loss. Literally, anyone who thinks that was a good call is either high or just doesn't know what football is, because that was one of the stupidest things I have seen in a very long time. That tops it. That tops the Cowboys-Niners game with the Cowboys' weird decision-making in the playoffs. Like, that was some of the worst clock management, worst play calling. And it's not like you needed like 20 yards, like 5 yards. Make it a 58-yarder. Brandon McManus has made those before. Brandon McManus is a good kicker. But no. Let's kick a 64-yard field goal. I mean, God, dude, what are the odds of that one? Like, I was actually, like, if overall thoughts, like, I was impressed with the Seahawks defense. The one part that really made me mad was like when Kobe Bryant got burnt by Jerry Jeudy. And you know what's funny about the Seahawks team? They have two, like, very famous celebrities who are now unfortunately passed away. Well, I mean, Kobe's unfortunately. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jackson. It's hilarious, and they're both corners. Like, what? Like, Michael Jackson on the show or on the Seahawks? That's crazy. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Let's dive right on into more of this Dallas Cowboys talk. Now, at a little, as I was telling, because they got the Bengals, they got the Giants, Commanders, Rams, Lions. Like, it is a hard schedule. I think they could get past the Giants, maybe, but who knows? The Giants didn't look half bad on Sunday. I mean, they really didn't. That's another thing that could make you go, is the Giants, but they really didn't look that bad on Sunday. And the Giants are a very, very weird team. But, I mean, the Cowboys don't have that line. They don't have that other receiver. I mean, CeeDee Lamb looked god-awful against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. It was really bad. But I think the Cowboys season is officially in jeopardy. I think they're officially going for that good draft pick. And yesterday, you know, they were the weirdest because they're close to being like a playoff contender, but they're close to rebuilding. Like, that defense is great, but that offense is iffy. And yesterday I was told, I don't remember who I was talking to or who, like, it could be on Twitter, but I was like, the Cowboys, you know, it's rumored that they're not going to make a move now, but the Cowboys, they're going to figure out what they want to do this season. If they want to actually try and win something, okay, maybe you do try and make a move. But if they just want to, you know, just play the season, then all right, stick with your guy. But just know you're not going to win very many games. Like, God, that schedule that they have coming up here is very, very hard. So they have to watch out, right? Like, that, it's a very hard schedule. Other things that made me go this week were Justin Herbert. Dude was playing like a dog. That guy was playing super well. Morning allergies are the worst thing to happen to people. I swear to God. Justin Herbert was playing really well against Derek Carr and the Raiders. Tyreek Hill, man. What a god. If I sneeze one more time, it's over, dude. But Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, very, very scary duo there. And I know the Patriots were big struggling. But look, I mean, that was something, right? I mean, the Patriots were just on it, dude. Like, they were going wild. The Dolphins were. God, dude. The other thing that made me go, was the Ravens, man. They were just like really, really, really kind of all over the Ravens can't catch a break, right? I mean, they lost another offensive lineman, Kyle Fuller, due to a Achilles injury. I think they lost another guy to an ACL. Like, God, the Ravens cannot catch a break, but it was against the bum-ass Jets. But Lamar Jackson did look pretty good in that one. Another weird play call. 4th and 3 for the Texans with 25 seconds left in OT. Didn't go for it. My guy Lovie Smith basically gave up a tie. I mean, how weird is that? Like, I mean, everyone's like, Matt Ryan's not a good quarterback. All this, it's week 1, bro. I get it. The Texans are terrible, but it's week 1. Like, the Seahawks shouldn't. If that was later than week 1, the Seahawks should not have beat the Broncos. Like, for real. Sergio Joseph played great. He did, but the Broncos were just struggling due to the week 1, like, kind of not like getting used to everything, getting in your role, getting in your groove. I mean, there's a lot to kind of get used to there for the Niners, for the Broncos, but like there's the Broncos. It's gonna take a couple weeks. I think that we'll start to see them at their full strength next week or the week after that. But it was just kind of getting used to literally everything. And here's another story that I love here. About the Washington Commanders is apparently they were selling coffee cups, like Washington Commander coffee cups, but you could like look and see the outline of Washington State in the background, not the university, like Washington State, like the state that I'm recording this podcast in right now. Yeah. And you have to wonder, like, bro, how does this even happen? Like, what, like, I mean, clearly the person who made this did not know a thing about football. Washington Commanders, like that does. When I was a little kid, I was like, we have the Redskins in our state along with the Seahawks. My parents are like, nah, that's DC, which the capital of the United States. I'm like, all right, but it's literally like 5-year-old me decided it was a good idea to make that coffee mug. Like, that has to be embarrassing. And the reason I'm bringing this up and the reason I find it funny is the Commanders have the dump stadium, first of all. Second of all, they've all this just front office crap going on with them, like the whole John Gruden situation and all of that. Third of all, you can't even make a coffee cup about your team correctly. I really should have brought this up with Cuz, because he's an Eagles guy. He'd find this funny. But dude, how stupid are you? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, and to not like at like no one like in the organization or in the staff to look at that and say that's Washington State, like the state of Washington, like the Pacific Northwest, like the home of the Seahawks. Like, really? And I mean, it could, like, someone's like, oh, it could be fake, but I'm like, it seems very, very legit. Unfortunately, I mean, you have to, like, that's probably like a $5 mug marked up for $45. Like, those dudes should get the mug for like $10 or free if it's, I mean, such cheap quality, right? Like, you can't even, like, Washington State is showing in the background. This has been Blindside Sports. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Super fun show today because it was fun having him. I'll be posting more clips later, but it was a super fun show. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Peace.